Hey guys, it's Tim and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 9th of October 2019 to talk about everything that went down tonight on AEW Dynamite. Excuse me. That's AEW Dynamite I felt was a pretty good show. I thought it really built towards the next pay-per-view, which is Full Gear on November 9th, 1 month's time. We got, advancements in the title tournament. We got 2 title matches actually taking place next week. And it looks like we may know of a 3rd match, possibly, for the pay-per-view. Looks like it could be a 8-man tag. So, with that, let's see who's here with us in the live chat to talk about AEW. We do got Woken King Slender, Jacob Blackman, Jeff Guevara, Marcus Ryan, Jason Dalton, Tyler Graham, Reggie B, Dontrell Bailey. We've also got Alex Williams, T-Ray, Big Boy Benny, and so many more of you. So again, AEW up against NXT. If you do want to hear my thoughts on NXT, I will be live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time to talk about NXT that did take place tonight. I caught some of it as I had it on my second screen on mute while I watched AEW. So I saw some things that happened on NXT, but I did not actually, watch the show. So I'm not going to talk about that show, and I would ask that nobody in the live chat spoil anything for NXT in case there are people here in the live chat like myself that haven't, I know all the results because I kept up with it, but don't talk NXT in the live chat. So if there are people here watching live, it doesn't get spoiled for them. But let's talk about Dynamite from Boston, Massachusetts. So the show kicked off in a big way with the AEW Tag Team Title Tournament, the first match in the tournament. The DC, as they kept saying, the number 1 seed in the tournament, the favorites to win the whole thing, the number 1 seed, the Young Bucks, against the upstarts, the new guys, Private Party. Showed SCU, as well as Jack Evans and Angelico in the crowd, when they're like, these are all guys scouting for the remainder of the tournament. But Jack Evans and Angelico are not in the tournament. SCU are in the tournament. They're taking on the Best Friends in the first round. But Jack Evans and Angelico are not in the tournament. And they teased them being in the tournament last week as well, when we all do know they're not in the tournament. So it's weird that on television they keep trying to tell us that Jack Evans and Angelico are in this tournament when they're not. So anyways, with that, we did kick this match off. And this match was just all kinds of high action and speed and athleticism. And these 4 guys are very athletic. I'm going to give them that. They could do all the moves in the world. Isaiah Cassidy started off with Nick Jackson, series of counters and teases. Cassidy ducked under a super kick. Matt jumped in and hit a drop kick through the ropes, sending Mark Queen to the floor. They really played up the fact that Private Party, they're kind of new. Yeah, they've been a tag team for a little bit, but they don't have the experience of the Young Bucks as a tag team. They really put over the Young Bucks' experience and saying that they're like this generation's Rock and Roll Express. They're this generation's number 1 tag team in the world. So the Bucks cut Cassidy off with a neckbreaker combo. Cassidy came back with the Acai moonsault, then tagged in Queen. Queen ran absolutely wild with a springboard crossbody and a dive to each side of the ring, and then another dive. He did like a regular crossbody dive. Then he did a Terminator-style dive. Then he did a Fosbury flop dive. It was like 3 big dives in a row, and all super quick. Really cool. Back in the ring, he then hit a 450 splash on Nick, only got him a 2 count. Matt cut off Queen with a super kick right from the apron, then hit a sunset bomb on Cassidy on the ramp, just power bombed Isaiah Cassidy right down on the steel ramp, metal ramp, whatever it is. Nick Jackson hit a springboard foot stomp. Nick missed a spear. Queen tried to tag, but Matt cut him off. Matt hit a spear for a 2, while Nick took Cassidy off the apron with a super kick, preventing the tag. Cassidy finally did get the hot tag, took out both Bucks with a drop kick and a double Hurricane Rana spot. He sold his back, He was selling the back ever since the powerbomb spot on the ramp. Matt came back with 3 Northern Lights suplexes in a row on Cassidy, then hit a double Northern Lights suplex on both members of Private Party. Matt then locked Cassidy in a sharpshooter. Nick hit Cassidy with a facebuster while he was still in the hold. He then hit a flip dive to the outside. The production kind of missed. Private Party then got back in the ring and hit the gin and juice on Matt. Queen then hit Nick with a poison Rana. Queen then hit Matt with a 450, only got a 2 count. The Bucks then went for the Meltzer driver, but Cassidy pulled Nick off the ropes before he can attempt the move. Matt fell to the floor, and then inside the ring, as Matt Jackson was kind of like, whoa, what just happened? What just happened? He was rolled up by Mark Queen and pinned for what they called a major upset. And it kind of is, but it was also a little bit expected. Overall, I did see some people did not like this match online because they just thought it was a million-mile-an-hour spot fest, which I can see the criticism of that. But, you know, it was a solid match. All 4 guys worked really well together, and Private Party gets better every time we see them. Then probably the most talked about thing of the night. Chris Jericho came out with his new faction, cut a promo. Jericho said that these men are his confidants, and they will continue to work together, and they have a name. Jericho put over Sammy Guevara and his good looks, calling him a Spanish god, said that he was sexy and a teenage heartthrob. He said that Santana and Ortiz are killers, and that he personally recruited and brought them to All Elite Wrestling. He then said, in a tribute to Eddie Guerrero, Viva la raza! Jericho then also put over Jake Hager. And as he did, the crowd started chanting, "We the people," louder than I've ever heard him chant it before. And as he does so, or as they're doing so, Jericho stops what he's saying, kind of shakes his head and goes, "Stop that. That's stupid. That was something created by what do you say, dumb or..." Hold on, I want to get the correct quote. I have it written down. Hold on. I tweeted out the quote because I want to get that for you guys. He said, when they were chanting, "We the people," Jericho said, "Shut it down. That chant sucks. It was a stupid idea from bad creative." Over here, gotta get your shots in on WWE. So then he says that this group is the inner circle. Oh, also, he said that all these guys are on his list. A little throwback. But these guys are his inner circle. He said that he hates Cody Rhodes, and he's always hated his family. He said his father was a jerk, his brother is a moron, and he's going to beat his ass in Baltimore on November 9th when he defends the All Elite Wrestling World Championship. He said after, him and his inner circle are going to take to the streets of Baltimore with a little bit of the bubbly. And as he said that, the crowd erupted. And that is the drawback of the All Elite Wrestling crowd. These 5 men are supposed to be your biggest heels, the biggest heels in all of All Elite Wrestling, but because the All Elite Wrestling fans can't boo anything they do, they cheered him. Everything Jericho said. As soon as Jericho's music hit, they cheered. As soon as Jericho walked out with his buddies, they went nuts. Jericho said a little bit of the bubbly, they freaked out. So it's like, that's the one thing that's going to take these shows down. And we saw this in the opening match too. Yeah, both teams are baby faces, but they didn't know if they were supposed to boo. Like Matt Jackson pulled Mark Queen off the apron at one point, and they're like, "Boo! Wait, no, we're not supposed to boo." Like super quick, they booed because it was kind of a heel thing to do, and they stopped immediately. So that is, well, Joe Decker says, wasn't MJF a heel? We're supposed to believe that he's an asshole to some, but not really a full-blown heel. Anyways, I think that's the one drawback to AEW. And it's nothing they can really... What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's nothing they can really prevent. Well, they have no control over. If the crowd's going to cheer everything they do, the crowd's going to cheer everything they do. And I really don't like that. So, overall, I thought this promo by Jericho was great. It establishes the team, the faction. It's AEW's first big faction. I mean, we've got tag teams and whatnot, but it's their first faction. And I like that it's a big heel faction. I love that they're putting over Sammy Guevara, somebody that we wouldn't have expected this early to get this big of a spot. And I also love that they really use this to build up the pay-per-view as well. Next up, in a number one contenders match with the winner moving forward to next week to challenge for the All Elite Wrestling World Championship, it was Darby Allin against Jimmy Havoc. A very solid match. It was weird early on, but it got better about halfway through the end. Havoc took the vast majority of the offense. These two guys, they tried to play it up early with a commentary stating that these two guys want to prove that they're great professional wrestlers. They don't want to be stifled by being known as just the hardcore guys. And that's what Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone were trying to, what's the word I'm looking for, emphasize early on in this match. That these two guys can have a solid wrestling match. They don't need all the weapons and gimmicks. So Allin at one point hit an arm drag with a back elbow. Havoc bit Darby Allin, then suplexed him out of the ring to the floor. Havoc went to work on Allin's left hand. He stomped on the left arm a bit and bit the hand. Havoc then used a sleeper in the corner. He hit a sleeper suplex. Allin rolled to the floor. We got a commercial break here. I couldn't really tell exactly what was going on since they did the picture-in-picture. After the break, Havoc hit a weak rolling elbow for a 2. He then hit a Death Valley driver into the buckle for another 2 count. Havoc then hit a Tiger driver for a near fall. Allin then used the crucifix, only got a 2. Havoc then went for a lariat, but Allin bit his hand again, hit him with a stunner, and then hit him with a coffin drop for the victory. Darby Allin will be moving on to next week in Philadelphia to challenge Chris Jericho for the All Elite Wrestling World Championship. I think it was the predictable outcome. No one really saw Jimmy Havoc winning here. Darby Allin's somebody that we can tell they really have faith in. And I think the match will be solid next week. Jericho's great. Darby Allin's really solid in the ring. So I don't see anything bad coming of this match. We then had a tag team match. We had AEW Women's World Champion Riho teaming with Dr. Britt Baker. Take on the team of Emi Sakura, or Sakura, however you say it. I got blasted earlier for saying it wrong. And B. Priestley. Good match. It looks like it was rushed a little bit, but that was okay. Priestley had her right hand taped up and didn't work much. She didn't really do much last week in her match on AEW Dark either, so I'm not sure what to think of that. Sakura hit a slam on Riho. They really built up the fact on commentary that Emi trained Riho, so she knows a lot of her moves. Riho came back with a dropkick. Riho went for a slam but failed. Sakura threw Riho across the ring by her hair. Sakura used a Romero special and then tagged in Priestley. Priestley went after Baker on the apron. And then brawled to the floor. They traded forearms. Sakura and Priestley hit a double suplex on the floor. Riho then hit a crossbody off the post to the other 3 ladies on the floor. The match then continued in picture-in-picture during the commercial break. Riho hit a double stomp on Priestley, while Baker hit a draping DDT. Sakura countered a Vader bomb into an elbow drop for a 2 count. Baker hit a stunner on Sakura. Riho hit a double stomp to Sakura, then rolled her to the outside. Priestley to hold Priestley at bay. Baker used a swinging neckbreaker for a 2 count, then used Rings of Saturn and a mandible claw combo for the submission victory. Never seen that before, but it looked okay. I wouldn't have her doing the Rings of Saturn, though, because that's Pac's move. Pac does the Rings of Saturn as his finish, so I don't think it's good for somebody else, not just saying because it's a female, but anybody, doing somebody else's move as a finisher as well. After the match, B. Priestley and Britt Baker got into it. Aubrey Edwards and Riho had to break them apart. AEW did post a photo after this match, a little bit later, like right towards the end of the show, that B. Priestley actually gave Britt Baker a black eye. So in their last match, B. Priestley gave her a concussion. This time, Dan gives her a black eye. We got a best friends hype video. They were asked how they're feeling ahead of their match next week. So next week, looks like they'll be taking on SCU in the tag title tournament. Chuck Taylor said, don't ask us. Ask this guy how we're feeling. Then stepped in Orange Cassidy. Cassidy just gave him a thumbs up, and that was it. Then got Jon Moxley versus Shawn Spears. I thought the match could have been better. Nonetheless, a very solid match. What you would expect from both guys. Again, I thought maybe could have been a little better. Pac was on commentary. Let me rewind that. Pac was on commentary. He made references to AEW management holding him down, stating that he's the best singles wrestler in all elite wrestling, and if not the world. And it is a shame and an abomination that he is not wrestling on episode 2 of Dynamite. He also said that it's also an abomination that he's not getting a title shot. Spears went after Moxley with a forearm early, actually before the bell even rang. Moxley came back with a penalty kick and an elbow drop. Tully Blanchard tried to trip Moxley from the floor, but he failed. Moxley tossed Spears outside, then ran into the barricade. Tully grabbed Moxley, then made a hasty retreat. Spears couldn't capitalize on the distraction, and Moxley remained in control. Referee Tully like 3 or 4 times went after Moxley. Actually, was successful once or twice. The referee, fuck it, don't care. Like, that's the one bad thing about these. That's one of the big criticisms right now of AEW is their reffing is a little shoddy. They're not catching things they're supposed to catch. Like right here, when Tully whipped Moxley into the steps. And then all of a sudden he runs over to the ref to distract the ref after he does what he's doing. When the ref, what was the ref doing? Spears then set Moxley into the barricade, then the steps again. He hit a Death Valley driver on Moxley into the barricade. Spears continued working over Moxley during a commercial break. Spears locked on a single leg crab as they returned from the break. Spears sent Moxley to the outside, then hit a suicide dive. Moxley didn't sell it though, and immediately, ran in the ring and hit his own suicide dive. He then hit a regal knee for a 2. They traded chops, and Moxley's chest started getting really red here. Spears hit a pump kick, but Moxley put him down with a lariat. Spears popped up and then hit a Ushigoroshi for a 2 count. Spears taunted Moxley with the perfect 10 chant. Little perfect 10 hands right in his face. Moxley threw Spears into the corner, then hit a Death Rider, the double arm DDT, for the pinfall victory. So Jon Moxley picks up the victory over Shawn Spears in a very good match. I wouldn't call it a great match. I'd call it good and solid. Other than the reffing and the ref not catching Tully like 3 times, I thought everybody was perfect. So after the match, out would come Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's got a barbed wire bat in one hand, and he's dragging a barbed wire broom. And I think it was Excalibur goes, oh, he's got a barbed wire broom. You wouldn't expect any less from the cleaner. So he walks to the top of the ramp with both weapons. Moxley walks out into the bottom of the ramp. And what does Omega do? Literally takes the bat and throws it. Not at Moxley, to Moxley. Is this a sign that we're getting some sort of a hardcore match at Full Gear? Before either man can do anything, though, Pac from behind attacks Omega in the back of the head with a chair. Doesn't crack him in the back of the head. Does the whole hand on the back and pops him with it. Moxley then refused to use the bat with Omega down, showing that maybe he's a good guy, like we all think. Pac starts yelling some stuff, finally walks away, and that was it. We then move on to our main event. It was AEW World Champion Chris Jericho teaming up with Sammy Guevara to take on the team of Adam Hangman Page. Well, actually, they don't call him Adam Hangman Page. They just call him Hangman Page. Hangman Page and Dustin Rhodes. Page and Rhodes are already a great tag team. They worked really good here together. Dustin went after Jericho early. He dominated him on the floor and then sent him over the barricade. Guevara tried a clothesline off the apron, but Dustin nailed him with an uppercut. Page hit a follow-away slam on Guevara, then hit a dive to Jericho. Jericho and Dustin doubled up on Guevara. Or Page and Dustin, doubled up on Guevara. Page hit a standing shooting star press for a 2 count. Page went up to the top, but Jericho grabbed his ankle, cut him off, knocked him off the ropes. Oh, no, didn't knock him off the ropes. Guevara climbed up there with Page and hit a pop-up, a TKO, popping Page across the ring. Guevara and Jericho then took advantage, heading to the final commercial break of the show. Back from the break, Jericho worked over Page against the ropes. Jericho missed a running knee. Page tried to tag in Dustin, but Guevara tagged in and made the save. Guevara used a chinlock on Page. Jericho tagged back in and hit some slaps to Page's face. Jericho went for a Lionsault, but Page got his knees up. Page tried for the hot tag, but again, Guevara tagged in and cut him off. Page then hit a discus clothesline and finally made the tag to Dustin. Dustin hit a Manhattan drop, then an inverted atomic drop. He hit a twisting crossbody off the top rope to both Guevara and Jericho that looked really solid. Guevara was sent to the outside. Page then hit with a moonsault off the post, but then got taken out by Jake Hager, who, as the referee was distracted, did not see Hager with a monster clothesline taking down Page. Excuse me. Dustin then tried to go for the final shot on Jericho in the ring when Guevara would jump in and eat a power slam. Guevara then knocked down the referee, and Hager ran in and dropped Dustin with a forearm. Jericho used a distraction to hit Dustin with a Judas effect. Ref got up, and he pinned him 1-2-3 with the inner circle taking the victory. So they're beating on Guevara and, well, actually all three men are beating on Dustin. Page finally gets to his feet, runs in, makes the save a little bit, but the 3-on-1's too much for him. Lights then go out, and we're like, well, who can this be? We haven't seen Cody at all on the show. Cody's got to save his brother and attack his opponent, and boom, it was Cody when the lights came out. Crowd goes bananas. Took out Guevara with a right hand. As he's trying to go after Jericho, Santana and Ortiz run down, cut him off, and again, the numbers are too much. Jericho choked Cody with Cody's own tie, and MJF would run down. MJF had a chair in his hand, and with Cody down, we had the inner circle, wondering what would MJF do. Would MJF side with his best friend? Or would he help his best friend? And in the end, he did try to help his best friend. He did try to help Cody with that chair against the inner circle. He kind of took them all down, posed for the camera, turned around, and boom, ate a code breaker, and he took that code breaker great. Finally, the Young Bucks would run down to try and make the save. They hit tandem topes on Ortiz and Santana. Dustin finally came to and took out Guevara. Jericho escaped and got out of the ring with his belt. For some reason, he then grabbed referee Bryce Remsburg, just threw him around for a second. And as Jericho's looking to walk away, all of a sudden, Darby Allin comes rolling down on his skateboard. As he gets to the bottom of the ramp, Jericho turns around. He jumps off the skateboard, clotheslines Jericho in a just, I think it was a clothesline. Yeah, he knocks down Jericho in just an awesome, cool-looking spot that I've never seen before. I think he even hits Jericho with the skateboard, gets in the ring, and poses with the Elite. Jericho then grabs a mic and said he'll see Cody November 9th, and he'll see Darby next week. It's your funeral. He then says, it's your funeral, bitch. And the show actually ends this week with the baby faces all standing tall in the ring. And when I said I think we've got foreshadowing of a third match for Full Gear, I think we're going to see, you've got Jericho and Cody. Those guys are tied up. You've got Kenny tied up with Omega or with Moxley. So I think we can see Dustin. Well, first off, I think we can see the Bucks, Dustin. Whoa, hold on. Let me do the math here. Ortiz, Santana, Hager, and Guevara against the Bucks, Dustin, and Hangman. I think that can be a nice 8-man tag. Question is, where do you do with MJF? So, we'll see. But I think that could be a match that we could be getting for Full Gear. You got the Inner Circle against the Elite. Just looking at the live chat here, see what you guys think of this show tonight from AEW. You can text in If you do want to give me your thoughts at 510-906-1341. Not going to be taking calls, though. We'll take calls tomorrow when we do our NXT review, though. But just looking at the live chat, overall, looks like you guys did like the show. Tyler Graham says, I want no DQs in AEW or the SmackDown show this Friday. I'm completely over it. Trying to find a tweet here. Uh-oh. Hold on, guy. Give me 2 seconds. I just saw something that's not good. So it looks like after the show, after Dynamite went off the air, they filmed AEW Dark. And they did a street fight with Omega. I believe this is a street fight with Omega and Joey Janela. And according to this person who was sitting ringside, they do state that Kenny went for a Terminator dive. And he looks to have possibly hurt his left leg. Officials and medical were checking on him after the match, but he was able to continue. So hopefully Moxley's okay, or Omega's okay. But that was a fear by one fan sitting ringside tonight as they filmed. It looks like a possible street fight between Omega and Joey Janela for AEW Dark. Also, forgot to mention, we did learn that next week, along with the AEW World Championship match of Jericho defending against Darby Allin, Riho will be defending the All Elite Wrestling Women's World Championship against her partner from tonight, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. This person here in the text message says, will Santana and Ortiz eventually get a tag team name or an AEW? Jericho said something about their name. I can't remember what he called them, and I didn't really like it, so I hope. I mean, Santana and Ortiz is okay. They don't need it. Every tag team doesn't need a name. Chris McNutt in the live chat says, was Jericho saying Jake Hager's name wrong? I think he would. Jericho likes to emphasize and say things like in a fancy way. He kept calling him Jake Hagar. Jake Hagar. Just like he says, El Champion. I'm the El Champion. That's his thing. He likes to say things fancy now. So I think he was just doing that to be funny. Jake Hagar. Because when you listen to commentary and everybody else, even in Bellator, they call him Jake Hager. So I think that was just Jericho being funny. Lone Wolf says, AEW is really good, just like NXT. They honored Latino Heat Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, today would have been Eddie's 52nd birthday. This person here in the text message says, do you think Cody will turn on MJF? Eventually. But I don't think they should for like maybe a year. 8 months-ish. At least not till like next May when they do the next Double or Nothing or something. Person here says they do replays of a SmackDown on Fox Sports 2 on Tuesdays. Cool. Person here says AEW felt a lot more fast-paced than a WWE show. Yeah, a lot of stuff felt just quick tonight on the AEW show. A lot of fast-paced action. And I thought they needed something to slow that down, to break all of that up. And I guess we got that in the women's tag match. But this person says, Timmy, can we get a WWE draft lottery rule? We're getting the draft this Friday, and we don't know the format of the WWE draft. So we'll see how they do it. I don't know exactly how it's going to work on Friday and Monday. We're all just waiting to see. And finally, this person in the text message just says, is Moxley a heel or a face? We're supposed to believe that Moxley's a baby face. Especially after him not going after Omega with the bat, even though Omega gave him the bat. And Omega was knocked down. So with that, I want to say thank you guys for joining me here to talk about AEW Dynamite live from Boston, Massachusetts. Thank you for joining me here live. Thank you to everyone who listens later right here on YouTube, or watches right here on YouTube, or listens later on podcast services all around the world like iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, and so many more. We will be live again tomorrow morning right here on the PW Unlimited YouTube channel at 10 a.m. Pacific to talk about tonight's NXT. Remember to follow us right here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that join button to give us even more of your support. And follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. Follow us on Twitter at PWUnlimited. And follow us on Instagram. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'll see you again live tomorrow morning.